see it on the I'm just watching the broadcast to make sure it's on the TV side of things, which I can't really control here. But I'm waiting for a response.
And I have a request of Sam's story next time we have an interlude before the meeting starts. You have to pull down one of those instruments off the wall and, give the demonstration.
You got it.
Hey,
Tom would be glad to hear.
hey, a lullaby is fine, anything, I heard his daughter play on the piano. She's really good. So she can do it too.
I'll pass that on to her. She would appreciate hearing that, John. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I would love it. Okay.
Okay, I think we're ready to go.
Okay. Just let me know when we're live.
I think we are live.
All right. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Capitola City Council to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Bottorff.
Here,
Councilmember Bertrand.
President.
Councilmember Story.
Here.
Vice Mayor Brooks.
Here.
Mayor Peterson.
Here. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America and to the
and the
republic
republic for
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
and
and
justice for all. All right. Can we get a report on closed session?
Yes, direction was given to staff.
Fantastic. Are there any additional materials for tonight's meeting?
Yes, there were two emails regarding item 8C in
Great, thank you.
favor of staff recommendation.
All right. Item 4, is there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda?
Staff would recommend pulling item 8A, continuing that item to a date uncertain.
Okay, we have a staff recommendation. Can I see a general consensus from the council of thumbs up if we're okay with moving that item? All right, great. So we're gonna move item 8A, pull item 8A from tonight's meeting. Now is the time for public comment. So if there's any member of the public that would like to address the council on items not on tonight's agenda, now would be the time. Now we'll turn it over to Larry as our moderator to let us know if there's any public comment received.
All right, I do not see any attendees with hands up, and I do not see any emails.
All righty. With that, we will close public comment and move on to city council and staff comments. Let's start with staff. If staff has any comments.
Yeah, I do have one comment I would like to make. It's actually an announcement I'd like to make. About 6 months ago, our records coordinator was put in a position of having to step into the city clerk position. It was obviously the beginning of the pandemic. Our prior city clerk had just retired, and Chloe Woodmansee was willing to step up and serve as the interim clerk. She's done so admirably and effectively over the last 6 months, and I'm very proud to announce that as of today, we're removing the interim from her title, and Chloe is going to be our new city clerk. So take me in a moment and congratulate Chloe, thanking her for her service.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you, and I'm happy to be here helping everyone, like always. So if there's anything I can do better, please let me know. Thank you.
Congratulations, Chloe. We're so lucky to have you. You've been fantastic in the last 6 months as interim clerk, and I'm really excited to have you on board as our permanent city clerk.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Mayor.
under the holder of the official city seal.
Yes, that is the truth. Thank you.
Congratulations, Chloe, you're doing a great job. I work with a lot of clerks, it's a pleasure to work with you, you're great at it.
Everyone's being so nice. Thank you. It's overwhelming.
All right. So is there any additional staff comments?
That's all we have for this evening.
Okay. We will move on to council member comments then. It looks like Vice Mayor Brooks has her hands up.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations, Chloe. I'm so happy to be working with you. I also wanted to add that if you did not notice that the website is live and it looks great, and it's also because of your hard work, Chloe. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Also, you're welcome. I also just wanted to mention that in the United States, Black people have lived through a long history of racial injustice and senseless institutionalized violence. This isn't their battle to fight alone. I encourage Capitola residents to continue to learn about the Black Lives Matter movement, stay informed, become an ally, and attend the upcoming community member forum, I believe, taking place in December. So thank you very much, and congratulations again to Chloe.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Brooks. I see Councilmember Bosworth.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to echo the sentiments that I believe everybody on the city council for Chloe. Congratulations, you've done a great job in your old position and in your temporary position and with the website. And I think you've joined the ranks of a couple of people that have carried two jobs at one time in the city. And just we're very glad that the city manager made this decision and happy for that. And the other comment I wanted to make was that there's a time to getting really challenging. I heard in the news today there was an incident to try to kidnap the mayor of Michigan. These are scary times. None of us can imagine what's around the next corner. It puts the people that protect us on high alert. So I just want to, again, commend the Capitola Police Department for being on guard for literally who knows what. And just want to thank them for showing up to work every day and doing the great job they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Bosworth. Councilmember Bertrand?
Yeah, thank you, Mary. I think it's a testament to Chloe that at this time, which usually for a city clerk is one of the hardest times of their 4 years between elections or 2 years between elections, having to learn all the codes and the regulations that make sure the mechanism of government goes forward, especially at a time of election. So it's a pleasure to go into her office, and so I'm so happy she's here. My other comment is, in terms of it's a hard time, I'd just like to reflect on the community that we live in. So, you know, Capitola lived through a flood, and at that time, a lot of neighbors in town and around in the vicinity came out to help the flood victims, whether they were businesses or people that lived in Patco or any other places that had houses in that vicinity. And it was something we all truly remember. It was a wonderful testament to what this community is like, Santa Cruz in general and Capitola. So I'd like to also say that we had the CPU fire, and I've noticed the same thing. A lot of people that I know have either been directly affected or indirectly affected, and the neighbors and friends that turned out to help them, whether it was a go-to fund or offering to have people stay in their homes or take care of pets, or in some cases providing mobile homes so that people could live down at the Watsonville Center. You know, if they had tons of pets, I know someone that gave someone a truck so that they could carry hay back and forth, you know, to feed the horses. So, you know, I think we truly live in an amazing area, and, you know, it's this outpouring of goodwill and willingness to help people in the time of need, I think is representative of the community we live in. So thank you for living in Santa Cruz, and thank you for all people in Santa Cruz to help the neighbors.
Thank you, Councilmember Bertrand. I would just like to quickly make a couple comments. I'd like to echo really everything that's already been said, both from Vice Mayor Brooks, Councilmember Bosworth, and Councilmember Bertrand. to acknowledge the structural discrimination and racism that have been faced by people of color, indigenous people, Latinx people throughout history. Also to acknowledge the good work of our Capitola Police Department, and to acknowledge the kindness of people within the community when we need to step up and support one another. I have spent the last 2 days participating in the League of California Cities virtual annual conference. That will come to completion tomorrow. It's been really interesting to see how this is playing out virtually as opposed to being there in person with a bunch of people in Sacramento, which is how it usually would be done. Or I guess this year it was in Long Beach. But I really want to commend the League of Cities. They have done a fantastic job of providing really engaging content and information. Today, we did have one of the series was on racial justice and equity and how cities can be involved in that. And it gave a history lesson on redlining and how communities were, certain communities weren't able to get home loans because they were considered to be financially risky because it had a large population of people of color and how that prevented people from building wealth. So I really learned a lot today and throughout my time on city council. And so that was just one of the seminars that I was a part of today. I also took a seminar on how women in local government can join corporate boards, like how you can do a pathway to join corporate boards. I did another one on municipal revenues and what we can expect in the coming years. I did another one today on housing law, and then tomorrow will be one on labor negotiations, and then our general assembly to wrap it all up. So it's been really interesting, and I just wanted to share that all with you. For anyone who hasn't been involved in any of the league activities, either at the division level or with the policy committees or the conferences, I would highly encourage it. I always learn so much, and it's really exciting. So with that, I will go ahead and close council comments, staff and council comments, and we will move on to our consent agenda. So all of the items on our consent calendar will be enacted in one motion in the form listed on the agenda, and there's no separate discussion unless a member of the public or of the council wants to pull an item for separate discussion. So I will go first to Larry, our moderator, to let me know if we've received any comments from the public asking to pull an item.
I do not see any hands raised by attendees, and I do not see any emails on this topic.
Okay, great. We will come back to council. Does any member, Councilor Bertrand, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about 7C. And I had a question last time because we increased funding. Were we going to reach out to those who weren't able to participate because the scholarship fund wasn't big enough? Is there any update on that?
Peter, hey, to turn it over, do you want to move it to the end of the evening?
Let's finish the rest of consent calendar, and then, so we'll pull this item from consent calendar, approve the rest of consent calendar if that's the will of the council, and then we'll take that item separately before we go into general government.
I'll move the balance of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Story and a second by Councilmember Bosworth. Before we get a roll call vote, Councilmember Bosworth, I see you have your hands up. Was that just to second this, or was that a question on the consent calendar?
That was the second motion.
Okay, great. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call on the vote for consent agenda?
Yes. Councilmember Bertrand.
I agree.
Councilmember Bosworth.
Aye.
Councilmember Story.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brooks.
Aye.
And Mayor Peterson.
Aye. Thank you. Carries unanimously. Now we'll go back to item 7C that was pulled from consent calendar. Councilmember Bertrand has asked for an update on whether we have contacted the families who pulled out of the out-of-school time program because the scholarship wasn't enough for them. Is that correct, Councilmember Bertrand? Okay. Does staff have any update on that?
So I would, is Nikki Bryant on the call this evening? I can't remember if she said she had a conflict this evening. I believe she did say she had a conflict this evening and couldn't
I'm here.
Who's here?
So yes, in registration, we did reach out to, individuals that have been enrolled, and, I am not sure if any of them decided to move forward with enrollment. We have increased our enrollment significantly, and I'll have an additional detail update for Friday update.
So I'd just like to comment that I'm glad you followed through on that, and I'm very happy with this program and how it's moving forward, so thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. So we need to vote on that item separately, correct?
Yeah.
Motion to approve item C.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Councilmember Bertrand.
yes,
Councilmember Botorff.
Aye.
Councilmember Story.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brooks.
Aye.
Mayor Peterson.
Aye. Carried unanimously. Thank you. We're going to move on to general government. Item 8A was pulled for a future meeting, so we're going to go to item 8B.
do
Solid
we
waste.
have to move the rest of the consent agenda?
We already did.
Oh, I must have missed that. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So we're going to go to item 8B, solid waste disposal agreement with Monterey Regional Waste Management District, and I will bring it to staff for a staff report.
Yes, hi, Mayor Peterson, council. I will try and get this running smoothly as possible. So I have to share the screen. Sorry, I haven't done both at the same time, so. And I'm already running into problems, sorry.
No problem.
Okay, we will share, there we go, that's the one I'm looking for. Okay, can you see that? Or did it not share?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is, the item before you is a, agreement with the Monterey Regional, Waste Management District for a solid waste disposal contract. The city has been working with the district for over 30 years, disposing of solid waste there. Prior to 2010, we didn't have a formal agreement. We were just taking bidders and being charged what they call the tipping rate at the gate. In 2010, we signed an agreement which significantly reduced the cost to the city and as well as its ratepayers, so that we got the same rates as the other jurisdictions in the county. In 2017, due to a significant number of changes in California regulations, the Waste Management District had to give us a 5-year notice of termination. So in 2019, we came to the council to request permission to begin negotiations on a new contract. The contract before you, the agreement before you, is a 30-year agreement. Currently, the city of Capitola is being charged less than the member agencies at the Monterey Regional Waste Management District. Due to the current economic conditions, the Waste Management District has allowed a gradual increase of those fees charged to Capitola for disposal over the next 5 years. At 5 years, we will be paying the same as the member districts, but understanding, especially with the current situation with COVID, they felt that it was better to kind of gradually put this in so there wouldn't be quite the same level of impact on the ratepayers. Currently, garbage, regular waste, yard waste, and commercial organics are hauled to the Waste Management District. Recycling is currently being taken to the Green Waste facility in San Jose. Because this disposal rate is a factor in the actual costs for collection, the city will need to begin negotiations with Green Waste to make changes to our franchise agreement to include these increases in costs for disposal in the next 5 years. And because of that, in all probability, there will be an increase in rates paid by Capitola customers. But as I mentioned earlier, it's a gradual increase over the next 5 years, not all at once. So hopefully it'll be easier to absorb. Just a reminder, it's a good thing. Currently, Capitola residents have the lowest collection rates in all of Santa Cruz County. We still believe that's going to be the case, but again, this will be part of the negotiation process for the new franchise agreement. It's Green Waste. So the recommended action for this item is to authorize the city manager to enter into an updated agreement with Monterey Regional Waste Management District for disposal of solid waste generated in the city of Capitola. And at that, I am finished with my presentation. I'm available for questions. In addition, Tim Flanagan, the general manager at the Waste Management District, is on the Zoom call if you have any questions for him.
Great, thank you. We're going to take it to council for questions only at this time. Councilmember Bertrand, I see you have your hand up. And you're muted. Okay, we're going to come back to you, Jock. You're still muted, but we're going to go to Sam for comments, and then we'll come back to you.
Oh, thanks, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Larry, I just had a question about where it refers to the Capitola rate on page 90.
Okay.
Yeah, the figure on the far left-hand side, the 3752. Is that how much of it will increase?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't notice it until it went out, but the table got a little skewed. 3752, I believe, is the current rate we are being charged per ton for waste taken to the Monterey Regional Facility. If I'm incorrect, Mr. Flanagan can correct that, but I believe that's what that is.
Okay, and therefore then on the next column, the actual rate would just be going up by about $2.48 per ton.
Yes, for this fiscal year, and then we increase gradually each July 1st moving forward, and then at 5-year time, it would get to the same rate as the member agencies.
Right, okay. Got it, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. I have two questions. One question is I received a letter from a resident of Capitola inquiring about being able to recycle organics. And like San Francisco, they have an organic product for every resident, and that's part of recycling, normal recycling. We only do it at the Esplanade. So I'm wondering if in future negotiations we could expand to the city, how reasonable that is. That's the first question. The second question is a recent law that was signed by the governor of California is mandating increased recycling of glass, I believe. And I don't know exactly when that's going to be implemented in terms of full implementations, but it's going to greatly increase the cost, the reimbursement to the haulers because they're going to have to recycle that glass and they'll get money for it. So that's going to be part of our future negotiations.
I will allow, as far as the first question, as far as residential composting, I know there are some laws out there that kind of map up the pathway for residential organics. Currently, I think you mentioned the Esplanade, but we are actually, we have a commercial organics program for all of the city that Green Waste is implementing. But for residential, Tim, are you available to talk to that?
I am. Can the council hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, and Tim Flanagan, the GM for the Waste Management District. And yes, to your question, council member, we will be working with our organics processor. We're under the same criteria that your city is, and we'll be running a couple of pilot programs that will probably in the next year or two look to incorporate residential organics or residential food waste in that. So as we look to develop that, we'll be in contact with staff and let you know what that is. That it's something you will have to work through with Green Waste Recovery, your hauler. But at the back end, for us as the collector, we are going to be working on a system that would accept that. So to be very clear, you have to work that through with Green Waste Recovery first, and we'll be working along that in conjunction with them. And just for further edification or clarification, I should say, you will ultimately be charged only 95% of our member agency rate. So you actually will get a 5% discount that our member agencies do not receive. So you get a little bit of a discount under this agreement if you go forward and execute it.
Oh, thank you, Sam, I didn't realize that. You can take this for it.
My second question was on recycling glass. How now there's a requirement to incorporate that into manufacturing of glass bottles, et cetera.
I don't know the answer, but we will be, as far as Mr. Flanagan mentioned, all of these things will be taken into our new franchise agreement with Green Waste, because we do have responsibilities for that, and that will be part of what we bring to you when we have that agreement worked out.
Thank you, Lynn.
All right, any additional questions from council? Seeing none, we will bring this to public comment. Larry, do we have anyone who has their hand up or who provided any public comments on this item?
I don't see anyone with a hand up, and I do not see any emails on the site.
All right, with that, we will bring it back to council for discussion and a vote. And I see, Councilmember Bosworth has his hand up. Was that for Chris, Councilmember, or?
That is to make a motion to approve staff recommended action.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Councilmember Bertrand.
I approve.
Councilmember Bosworth. I think I see him saying aye.
Yep, great. And my screen is covering aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Story.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brooks.
Aye.
Mayor Peterson.
Aye. Carries unanimously. Thank you. Let me see which item we're moving on to. I have a dog trying to eat my homework, so get time to the agenda here. My apologies. We are moving on to the next item, which is all right. Here we go. My apologies. We're moving on to item 8C, establish the personnel analyst and deputy city clerk classification. And I will go to staff for a staff report.
Mayor, members of the council, let me just share my screen here. Okay. Now look all right on everyone's screen?
That's good.
So, just a couple weeks ago, we received notice that the executive assistant for the city manager plans to retire at Thanksgiving this year. As you may recall, we already have 2 vacancies in the city manager's department. That includes our city clerk's former position, the records coordinator, as well as a receptionist. So this would bring to 3 the number of vacancies in a 6-person department. So we need to take a look at what the responsibilities are, the duties, and what we're doing right now, and how we're going to fill them moving forward. Right now, the executive assistant to the city manager serves as the city's deputy clerk. It's actually a very important role because it provides a little bit of backup, in the event that the clerk isn't able to do a meeting or put out an agenda packet. We still have to put on the meeting and we still have to put out the agenda packet, so it's very important to have a deputy city clerk. In addition, the executive city manager helps with scheduling, my calendar, city hall phones, also takes care of all our personnel, internal personnel records and records needs, the recruitment, and then the liability claims. So when we look at the vacancy, the three vacancies that we have in the city manager's department, it really became apparent to me that we could probably reorganize some things at this stage. And so what we're suggesting is getting rid of the executive assistant to the city manager and then creating a personnel analyst position and then creating a deputy city clerk position and getting rid of the records coordinator as well. So basically replacing the executive city manager with a personnel analyst and then trying to backfill Chloe's old position, the records coordinator, with a position that would be the deputy city clerk. So that's basically the structure. We're proposing to fill both positions on a part-time basis. The deputy city clerk position, I think we would inquire about people's availability to work part-time or full-time, and then evaluate the candidates and see whether or not we had a good candidate to fill the position part-time. Initially, we're thinking fill that position part-time. The advantage of having the deputy city clerk position move over from where it had been to somebody who's directly reporting to the city clerk is, I think it's pretty apparent that it would take the city clerk's number two and have them actually report directly to them. So I think it would make for smoother scheduling, training opportunities, and just provide with a more robust sort of overall provision of service than we currently have. We're proposing to fill the personnel analyst at the same salary as the executive assistant and city manager, and we're proposing a minor bump to the records coordinator to bring it up and also give it that deputy city clerk responsibility. And overall, that doesn't really result in any significant, really no change in overall cost. So the recommended action would be to improve the creation of the personnel analyst and deputy city clerk job classifications, job descriptions. We need to amend the city's salary schedule. We also need approval of a side letter, an amendment to the MOU with the confidential employees, because currently the confidential employees identified as all being exempt. And the personnel analyst, we think it makes more sense as an hourly position, particularly because it would be a 20-hour-a-week job. And then it would be authorized us to recruit for both the personnel analyst and the deputy city clerk at 20 hours a week. And with that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from council members? Seeing none. Okay, so now we'll turn it over to public comment. Larry, do we have any members of the public that have comments on this item?
I do not see any attendees with hands up, and I do not see any emails on this item.
All right, with that, we'll close public comment and bring it back to council for discussion and a vote. If there's any discussion or a motion, go ahead and raise your hand. I see Councilmember Bertrand's hand is up. You're muted, Councilmember Bertrand.
Oh, sorry. I accept the recommendation as proposed by the city manager and move approving it.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Bertrand and a second by Councilmember Bosworth. Any additional comments? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please? Roll call vote.
Councilmember Bertrand.
Aye.
Councilmember Bosworth.
Aye.
Councilmember Story.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brooks.
Aye.
Mayor Peterson.
Aye. Thank you. Passes unanimously. And we'll move on to the final item on tonight's agenda, an overview of the zoning code public review in preparation for adoption. Turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Mayor Peterson and City Council. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good evening, and this evening I'm here to bring forward the zoning code update. We're going to start adoption hearings at the next meeting for a first reading. Whenever we have a document that's 378 pages long, I feel it's good to get it out in front of you ahead of time. So really that was the basis of placing this on the agenda tonight. I'll give you a brief overview just to check off some boxes that we got things right of what the direction you gave us at the last special meeting that we had, and bring up 2 items that came up at Planning Commission, and from there I wanted to make an opportunity for adoption hearings for any questions or items you'd like me to bring back for discussion. So very quickly, this is the zoning code update process. Last July, you were reviewing, we've been through the majority of this process with one public document that went out last year in 2019, and we just went through another 90-day or 60-day public draft. The Planning Commission reviewed for the second time in October 2020, gave a positive recommendation on the draft. One commissioner, Commissioner Welch, had continued to have concerns for the coastal overlay zone and did not, he was a nay vote on the recommendation to the City Council, just still had concerns with possible overreach. But the Planning Commission forwarded it on with the majority, and so currently, for adoption, and so the final draft has been published for the adoption hearings, but at this point we are moving forward with making sure there's no questions left. So this first topic, Monarch Cove Inn, there have been 4 different modifications since the 2018 adoption. The final direction from City Council was to place the Monarch Cove Inn as we added vacation rental as a conditional use to that site. And for single family, we added other conditions that a conditional use is required with a single family home and allowed in conjunction with overnight accommodation use, so like access to a viewpoint. Next, we went over in depth Chapter 44, the coastal overlay zone. This we had the Coastal Commission identify exactly where any modifications we were questioning, exactly where it came from the state code. We got feedback from the Coastal Commission and removed anything that was not tied back to the state law. And that has been updated and spent a couple meetings on topic 2. The third topic, village parking. We had some not so easy to follow language about how to convert money in. At the last meeting, the City Council recommendation was to go forth with this staff recommendation. We moved under the last section under B, where it was for non-residential use. So it would be relative for commercial and residential uses, the parking standards. And zoom out. And then last, the Village Hotel Heights. The Coastal Commission staff had recommended a 10-foot limit and including all the rooftop architectural elements. When we went before Planning Commission, it changed a little bit, and then the final recommendation by the City Council was to take away the 10-foot height, clear up where the views are from, and then include those rooftop architectural elements. So that captures what we heard at that last meeting, and I just wondering if these 2 last new things that came up that are questions as we're seeing applications start to come through. First is drive-throughs and distance measurements. So in the current standard within the new code states that drive-throughs are prohibited within 100 feet of a residential zoning district or residential use, including residential properties outside the city limits. There's no rule for how you measure the 100 feet, so we want to clean that up and just add one sentence that distance is measured from any like, and for use for the drive-through service, including the vehicle aisle, menu board, or an example of this is the current McDonald's. I think it's 110 feet from the residential property line behind it. If they were to bring in a drive-through, it couldn't be within that 100-foot setback area. Next is rooftop decks. For the rooftop decks, currently there is no requirement for a design permit for a rooftop deck. That's just on the rooftop. When we found out, we would like to add that a design permit is required with planning commission review for any commercial or residential building with a rooftop deck. So that was an error, and we'd like to clean that up. And with that, I'm happy to take any council questions.
All right, thank you, Katie. Are there any questions from council members? Councilmember Bertrand.
Yeah, thank you very much. I enjoyed reading this. I have to be crazy to do it, but I did enjoy reading it. And I just would like, if you could review the item 17.88.05, which deals with the Village Hotel. And in particular, I'd like to know a little bit more detail about what the Coastal Commission recommended, and I'd like a little understanding of what their perspective was. You sort of briefly touched on it by saying 10 people are the bluff. And if you could expand on that. You've had extensive conversations with them, so I'm trying to understand where they're coming from.
Sure, it's a great question. So during their review, they actually thought that would be a useful tool for us and it's easier for us to analyze, to have a measurement from bluff of 10 feet. The language about keeping the view and being able to see the greenery above the hotel is directly from our general plan, and I think they weren't attached to the 10-foot. I think they thought they were helping mess that up. So I don't expect to see that one come back as a red line.
Okay, yeah. Thanks very much.
All right, any additional questions? Seeing none, we will bring it to public comment. And I'll turn it over to Larry.
Thank you, Mayor Peterson. I do not see anybody with a hand up on this item, and I do not see any emails.
All right, then, we will bring it, close public comment and bring it back to council for discussion and a vote. And I see Councilmember Bertrand has his hand up.
Right, thanks very much, Mayor. Last time this came before us to get our general idea of what we felt about things, and I had a comment about the hotel also. And I don't feel that what's being proposed captures what we heard many, many times at public meetings about what the residents of Capitola would like for the hotel plans that may be brought to us at some point in time. So I still have reservations about the language. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Bertrand. Any additional comments? Oh, sorry, Councilmember Bosworth.
Yeah, when I read this, the recommended action is just to accept the staff presentation, so I make a motion that we accept the presentation and recommended action.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Councilmember Bertrand. Vice Mayor Brooks, did you have a comment, or were you chiming in on the second?
I was chiming in on the second.
Okay, I think Councilmember Bertrand beat you to it, sorry.
I wasn't trying to.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Bertrand.
I am approving this for discussion's sake.
Wait, no, we're done with discussion. This is a vote.
Thank you, Mayor. I approve.
Okay.
Great. Councilmember Bosworth.
Aye.
Councilmember Story.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brooks,
Aye.
Mayor Peterson.
Aye. Thank you, carried unanimously. And with that, we've come to the end of tonight's meeting. I think this may have been the shortest meeting of the year. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much, council members. Thank you to staff. Have a wonderful night. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Bye.
Goodbye.